Okay, guys. So as I promised to do you my own example of the data analysis way early in the semester, I thought I'd quickly just do a tips on graphing. So, like you guys, I don't look at this data set very often like Dale does, so I'm not as familiar with it as him. So some of the stuff that he probably finds second nature, I don't find second nature, so I'm probably closer to you guys on that level. So I'm just going to give you a couple of tips of what I would do to make the exam easier for myself. I just wanted to, first of all, just give you a little bit of a thing to be wary of. So I'm in Blackboard, and I'm just where you download the exam. So if I go here, just one thing to be wary of is you've got to go enable editing, but that creates compatibility mode, which also creates issues as well. So make sure that you convert it to a normal document. So now I'm in a normal document, and then you'll just save that wherever you want first. This PC, and I always just put everything on desktop. So I'm not one of those organized people who has everything sorted. So that way you know that it's already saved and it's in the mode that won't give you troubles later on. I'm just going to close this one now and bring over another one that I was having a look at. No, that's not what I wanted. So I'll just close that. That's the one I just downloaded. So what I suggest you could do is have all the relevant information that you guys will need to know for your exam, like in a list somewhere, and then you can just cut and copy that over to Excel. So you may have another Excel document with this ready, and you could even have formulas set up if you like, with all the relevant information. And then what I would do, because I don't look at this information very often, is I would take age, gender, weight, over here like this. And then I would actually, if you're doing research, you'd have to keep this stuff, but for the purpose of the exam and making it nice and easy for yourself, you could just do that, get rid of that data. Then what I'd do is delete this line, and then grab all the data and move this up here. So it'll take a couple extra minutes to get started. What you can do, even if you want to get really excited, put these in here. We don't need METs, so I'll delete that. So you can put the units in. You don't need that one, so delete. I'm not using it. That's ventilation. So we need the oh, sorry, that's not ventilation. There's ventilation over here, so we don't need that one. Sorry. So you can, because you already figured out what you need, because you've done heaps of practice sessions, is you can get rid of all these. And remember in Dale's video, he said we're only going to use what the bike's reading, not what the set load is, so we can get rid of that. And for the purpose of this exam, we're not using the kilocalories. So I'm just making everything a little bit easier for myself then. Put the units in, and you can make this neater if you want, but we're just in here like this. So it's an extra sort of 5 minutes at the start. It just makes my data a little bit easier for me to read, because I don't read this stuff very often. Get rid of that line. So now this probably looks a little bit more like what we had from the tutorial output that you guys are probably a little more familiar with. So what you can do now, go to View, Freeze Frames, freeze pane, sorry, freeze the top, oh, no, sorry, freeze top row, get rid of this one. So in here, freeze top row is what you want. So then when you scroll down, this top row stays there. So then as I'm halfway, I can still tell which one I want. You can do things like, from here, bring it down to your 2 units already, just so it's easier to read. You know, all that kind of stuff. You could have a formula in here of 220 subtract your age, so equals 220 subtract 65. You know, age predicted max is there, so you can do all sorts of things like that. So then when I'm over here, I can go insert column, insert, and then we can do our formulas to make this into relative, and you can have it in these rows here. You can, you know, then you can add the other rows in for your VE over VCO2. So you guys know how to do all that from Dale's practical that he did for you guys. The only other addition that I would suggest you could do is you could make another sheet, and I'd practice this before you try it in the exam. But in Excel, what you can do is you can go new window, and then view, and this created Prac Exam 2. So I went over to my other screen. So see now I've got Prac Exam 1, Prac Exam 2, but that's actually still the same document. And if I go view side by side, we can do it like this. So Prac Exam 2 is on the right, Prac Exam on the left. And then what I can do is make this on that sheet. So see, that's the same document. So if I change something here, it's still related to the document as a whole. And then if you're going to do your graphing, and I'm just going to grab some random figures here. So go all the way back to the top. And I did my, what you've seen in Dale's video. And wrong one, this one. We did our scatter plot. And then what we can do is cut that and move it over here. So we're all good here. And then if you sort of, if I manipulate the data here, it's still going to change over there. So as you can see, it's still the same document. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to use. Just because, you know, like I said, I'm not as familiar with this data as you guys are, whereas Dale looks at this stuff every day. So sorry about the dog barking there, but then you can do all the manipulations in that you've seen. So just a couple of tips that I would do if it was an exam that I was completing, just to make the data set easier for me to read. So I hope this helps a little bit, and I'll see you guys on Zoom tomorrow.